You will hear a telephone conversation between a customer and an agent at a company which ships large boxes overseas.
Good morning. Packham's shipping agents. Can I help you?
Oh, yes. I'm ringing to make inquiries about sending a large box, a container, back home to Kenya from the UK.
Yes, of course. Would you like me to try and find some quotations for you?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I need a few details from you.
Fine.
Can I take your name?
It's Jacob Mkere.
Can you spell your surname, please?
Yes, it's Mkere.
Is that M for mother?
Yes.
Thank you. And you say that you will be sending the box to Kenya?
That's right.
And where would you like the box picked up from?
From college, if possible.
Yes, of course. I'll take down the address now.
It's Westall College.
Is that Westall?
Yes, college.
Westall College. And where's that?
It's Downlands Road in Bristol.
Oh, yes, I know it. And the postcode?
It's BS8 9PU.
Right. And I need to know the size.
Yes, I've measured it carefully and it's 1.5 metres long.
Right.
0.75 metres wide.
OK.
And it's 0.5 metres high or deep.
Great. So I'll calculate the volume in a moment and get some quotes for that. But first, can you tell me, very generally, what will be in the box?
Yes, there's mostly clothes.
OK.
And there's some books.
OK, good. Anything else?
Yes, there's also some toys.
OK, and what is the total value, do you think, of the contents?
Well, the main costs are the clothes and the books. They'll be about £1,500. But then the toys are about another 200. So I'd put down £1,700.
That's the end of part 1. Now turn to part 2. You'll hear a radio program about the history of roller skating. For questions 9 to 18, complete the sentences. You now have 45 seconds to look at part 2.
In today's programme, I'm going to be talking about roller skating, how the sport started and how it has developed over the years. So, who was the first person to come up with the idea of attaching wheels to the feet in order to get about more quickly and easily? Well, roller skates are not a new invention. In fact, roller skating developed out of the much older activity of ice skating, which has existed in Scandinavia and other northern countries for centuries. The actual inventor of the first roller skates is not known, but it's generally thought that they originated in Holland in the early 1700s. Roller skates first arrived in Britain in 1760, when the Belgian clockmaker John Merlin wore some to a formal ball in London. Merlin was known as something of a mad inventor, but he surprised everybody at the ball when he whizzed past them on wheels, playing the violin at the same time. Unfortunately, Merlin did not manage to persuade people that roller skating was a good idea. His skates had no brakes, and he ended up crashing into a large mirror. Merlin was quite seriously injured in the accident, and as a result, roller skating did not immediately become popular in Britain. In Germany, however, roller skates made a better impression. They were used in a ballet with the name Winter Pleasures, which included a scene where the dancers skated on ice. Because they couldn't produce the ice on stage, the organisers decided to use roller skates instead. After this, the sport gradually became more popular. But it was only thanks to technical advances that it became safer. In 1863, an American named James Plimpton solved the problem of controlling direction when skating by fitting them with rubber springs. His design is widely regarded as the origin of the modern roller skate, although rubber toe brakes, another important safety feature, didn't come in until the 1870s. The late 19th century saw the beginnings of events such as speed contests, artistic displays, and roller dancing, as well as the first team sport on roller skates, roller hockey. During the first decades of the 20th century, hundreds of indoor and outdoor roller skating rinks opened, especially in the USA, and the sport became really established as a popular pastime. The first roller skating championships were held in Detroit in 1937. The real development of the modern roller skate only began in the second half of the 20th century. From the 1950s onwards, the use of plastics led to improvements in the design and performance of roller skates, and roller disco movies of the 1970s and 1980s increased the popularity of the sport, with roller discos opening in many parts of the world. Meanwhile, the stage musical Starlight Express, which features roller skating, ran for 17 years and was seen by 8 million people. The sport of roller skating has also been gaining a more serious following, especially in Southern Europe and South America. The biggest modern change to roller skates came in 1983 with the introduction of inline skates, also known as rollerblades. Then, during the 1990s, new materials, brakes and boot fastenings all combined to make skates both lighter and safer than they had ever been in the past. So why is roller skating so popular? I went to talk to some fans at a rink in Huddersfield.
Now play the recording again.
Good afternoon and welcome to our programme Modern Lifestyles. Regular listeners will remember the health and diet programme we broadcast earlier in the year featuring Ron Clark, an Australian accountant turned record-breaking athlete. Ron's now managing director of the 5 successful Cannons Health Clubs in London, and he's a firm believer in being positive about life. His philosophy is that in order to have a healthy and fulfilled life, which he obviously felt being an accountant, even in Australia, didn't offer him, you have to enjoy everything you do. He advocates a healthy diet and exercise as a means of supporting one's work, family and social life. With this in mind, he devised the term total living. It certainly stood him in good stead during his successful career as an athlete, and it's an obvious feature of the health clubs Ron runs in the city. But he believes it can help everybody. His latest venture's a book he's just written, also entitled Total Living, which isn't just another book of physical exercises, but a guide to how physical exercise can augment a timetable already filled with a pressurised job and a hectic social life. As the term total living implies, we should see our lives as a whole, not in isolated compartments. And this means integrating all the different aspects of our lives. Ron thinks that too often we don't build in time for what we need most. In this case, physical exercise. You may think that combining work, play and exercise sounds daunting, but Ron also argues very much against some current health trends. For example, assuring us that the sun is beneficial for our health and not the danger to our health and longevity which the anti-sun lobby would have us believe. And then there's dieting. How many of you can honestly say you've never considered going on a diet? If you talk to Ron, he will insist that slimming diets should be avoided at all costs. Well, we're fortunate to have Ron back in the studio with us today, and he's going to answer some of your questions during the next half an hour or so. But before we go over to Ron...
Hi, Meg.
Paula, it's great to see you. You look fantastic.
Oh, do I? That's strange. I should be looking awful.
Why? Have you been ill?
No, not that. It's just that trip to Paris. It was a nightmare.
Really? You must be joking. Don't tell me you didn't have a good time. When you told me you were going, I was green with envy.
No wonder. I was so excited I just couldn't wait to go. Now, I wish we'd gone to the Lake District, or even just stayed at home.
But what was so bad about it?
Well, in the beginning, everything looked all right. Mark's boss gave him 2 weeks off without too much trouble. The children went to stay with Mark's mother, and Sheila, you know, my younger sister, promised to come over to our place to feed the hamster. So, we packed our suitcases and set off.
Sounds all right so far.
Yes, but in Dover, it turned out that the ferry terminal workers had gone on strike. And we had to wait over 8 hours before we could board a ferry.
Oh, no.
And that was just the beginning. During the passage, the weather turned stormy, and I was terribly seasick all the way across the channel.
Oh, poor you.
Yeah, it was horrid. Then, when we arrived in Calais, it was so late that we had to look for somewhere to spend the night.
Oh, dear.
Yes, but that's not all. On the way to Paris the next day, we had a puncture, so Mark had to change the tyre. The hotel where we'd booked a room turned out to be terribly noisy. It was pouring with rain most of the time, and some of the galleries I wanted to visit were closed.
Oh, no. So what did you do then?
Well, I ended up shopping for clothes. That's about the only thing I can't complain about, but obviously it wasn't cheap, so Mark got furious.
Oof, no surprise there.
So, in the end, we decided to shorten our stay and left after just 10 days. You can imagine our return trip. I was unhappy, Mark was mad at me because of the money, and when we got home, the flat was flooded.
Oh, flooded?
Yes, we couldn't believe it. When we were away, Sheila let the hamster out of the cage for a while, and the horrid creature bit through the fridge cable. Of course, she didn't even notice, but when we got back, there was water all over the kitchen floor, and all the food in the fridge had gone off.
What a nightmare.